so much for meeting with me. I've come here a couple times, and I just watching you interact with all of you call them members or residents.
Mm-hmm.
You're just so passionate and loving and caring, and you inspire me just by like watching you being who you are and supporting them and being there for them and actually caring. So I just want to thank you for sitting with me. I'm so excited to like pick your brain to find out like, you know, how you're able to be that way in such a maybe sad environment sometimes, or maybe it's difficult at times.
It's always difficult at times. Today is actually one of the difficult days.
Mm-hmm.
I just got back from one of our residents' funerals.
Oh.
So I'm a little bit more misty-eyed today than I might be. But I think one thing I always knew about myself, even from a young age, is I liked older people more so than younger people.
Yeah.
It was just some people I was drawn to. And I also always knew that I was a nurturer. Making other people happy made me most happy. So I guess it was a way to blend the two.
Yeah.
And I kind of simply, fell into it.
Okay.
It kind of was just dropped into my lap.
Yeah.
My husband's mother owned this home when she was widowed. She had 8 children.
Wow.
2 are already out of the house. The remaining 6 were boys, and she was a nurse from the war, and she bought this house and started taking in what she called patients.
Okay.
And when she got of a
So what qualified as like a patient?
She took anybody. Anybody that was old and needed help.
Okay.
And her and 6 boys lived up here, and the patients lived on the first floor. And it was a way for her to provide herself with an income, because her husband's business was tool and die, and she quickly ran that bankrupt, not knowing what to do. And so she took in her patients, and they provided her with a way to keep her family together and afloat.
Yeah.
And so when she retired, my husband, who was an MBA, and me with a psychology degree, it was kind of like a match. And I was working in the group home industry for people who have mental illness and or developmental disabilities. And so it just was an easy transition moving from there to here.
Yeah. So what qualified, so right now, how would you describe Young Home? What does it provide?
The Young Home is a very home-like atmosphere for people who can't live alone anymore, but don't really require the skills of a nurse or a skilled nursing home. People that require help with things like bathing and dressing, grooming. Some people have special diets. Right now we have people that are diabetic, people that are on a gluten-free diet, and
like any age?
Yeah. I've taken people as young as 50s and all the way up to 103. So, I think we're pretty good about taking out almost anybody.
Yeah.
I very, very rarely refuse anyone. Anyone that calls me and needs help, we take. I take the people nobody else will take.
Yeah.
I pride myself on being able to service anyone. Yeah.
Well, just being here, I can tell that you train your staff with just teaching to respect, and everything's always so clean. It's not your typical nursing home environment at all. There's most of the food I've noticed is just like handmade, or almost everything's freshly made. Daily breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
That's true.
Like.
Yeah, we very rarely use anything from a box or a can. Some of the big canned vegetables and big canned fruits we would use, but when we have cookies, we make cookies. When we have cake, we make cake. Yes.
Very different from, I know that when my grandma was first sick, my grandma's here now, and she was placed in a rehab center, and their food, I've noticed, was hot food, like from microwave dinners, almost. And I was just always like, wow, like you call yourself chefs. Like someone had a position, was the chef there? And I'm like, you're a chef, but you're feeding them like frozen meat and frozen dinners. So
Yeah.
I always, and then it was very costly too on top of it. So
Yeah.
I always thought it was really just nice and just different that you guys have that home environment here.
Yeah. I think that one of the things that old people can still really enjoy is
Their
food.
food and sweets.
Yeah. They do like their treats, their cookies and their little snacks at night. But, you know, to take that away or deny them that, I mean, you know, when you're 80 and 90, really, you know, besides the love of your family, what can you still really savor and enjoy? And I think good food is something that, you know, we always put a lot of emphasis on. Cleanliness was another biggie. You know, I don't know if you're aware, but we are diligent about cleaning. In the middle of winter, I will open everybody's bedroom window for 10 minutes just to air everything out. I don't, unless it's frozen shut, I open it.
Nice.
And, you know, we don't own a mop.
Yeah, it never smells, you know, like you're...
We wash every floor every day. Every resident gets a shower every day. There is no place ever
Like
that I've ever heard of that does
No.
that. But consequently, when you walk in, you smell food and you smell, you know, a nice homey place. And, you know, when people walk in, they're always so, I don't smell anything. It's like, you're just so accustomed to being accepting of, oh, we're going to walk in and it's going to smell. And when you don't, you're surprised. And it often smells like really good food cooking.
It does, or sweets or something. It's always usually cooking, especially around the holidays. You guys have like big dinners, Thanksgiving dinners, and
we do.
I come to go pick up my grandma, and you guys have been cooking all morning, just like a normal family would. And
On
it's really
Thanksgiving,
sweet.
I'm up at 6 a.m. stuffing that turkey just like everybody else.
That's great.
That's right.
So what about? Did you always going into this? I feel like is this your passion? Would you say? And did you know before? And
I knew people were my passion. I knew I was always better with older people than I was with people my own age.
What is it about the older people? I feel like I can relate to that a little bit, but
I think that I just want to make them happy.
Yeah.
And to be honest, making other people happy, doesn't matter who it is, makes me happy. It's just like I was born to be a nurturer. I was a psych major, so I think that just speaks a lot about it too. If I'm making them happy, if I see them enjoying themselves, if I see them enjoying something that I've cooked, I'm good for the rest of the day.
Have you always been that way, or was there a point in your life when?
No, I think I've always been a people pleaser, and that's good and bad. You know, sometimes it's self-deprecating and it's not so good, but in this particular profession, it's a good quality to have.
I can relate too, because I think I just feel more open with older people. I think that they have great stories to tell. They're hilarious. They're not afraid to be themselves anymore. They don't judge you necessarily anymore, and I can relate. I feel like I would rather talk to an older person than, you know, someone my age or. You know,
I think
older.
younger people tend to, it's more self-serving. What are they going to get out of it? With old people, they just want to share your company. I think, you know, old people can be lonely. So if you have a few moments just to spend, you know, with an old person and just sit and hold their hand, even if it's just quiet solitude, they're happy. And it's nice to relate to people because, you know, we've had people that are, you know, quite able to still converse and enjoy, you know, a nice conversation and get to know you. But then there are people that that's not true. Anything that they speak comes out in a jumbled mess, and maybe they know what you're saying, or they know what they're saying, but you don't. And sometimes it's just okay to sit there with them and hold their hand and talk to them. And
So how do you deal with that? Like, how do you stay positive when maybe there is somebody who's hurting or sad, or I don't know, maybe not all mentally there, it might be difficult at times, or
It is difficult at times, especially, I had a resident who was ill and always enjoyed good food, but had stopped eating, was dropping weight just by leaps and bounds, and it's hard to understand what's going on when they can't verbalize to you, number one, I'm in pain, number two, whatever was going on, and I tend to try to look for the obvious first. Maybe there's an issue with the teeth. The teeth hurt, they won't eat and chew, then okay, maybe it's in the stomach. Something that they're eating is getting their stomach upset. That's why they're not wanting to put things in it. And sometimes it's a puzzle and a mystery,
it's
and you
almost
have to
like
figure
being
it
a
out.
parent.
Yeah, for sure.
So those are like the hard days here.
Yeah, and I mean, there are hard days with the residents that are very confused. Sometimes they get combative, and and then there are hard days with the staff. It's a constant struggle trying to get people that want to come in and do this work with a smile on their face when they have their own issues going on at home. And
that's why I think it's so amazing, because I've seen you always be positive, and I know that somebody kind of has to be the leader here and show the example.
Right.
Because I know it is hard to always be on,
Yeah. And there are times when I haven't been on, but it's always like, okay, Tag, you're it. I need 10 minutes. I'm out.
Yeah.
It's your turn. Go to take it for the team.
Yeah.
And
you feel
but
like
you have to know when, okay, my stress level has gotten up to here. I have to remove myself, and being able to rely on 2 or 3 really good staff down there to say, okay, your turn, and I got your back next time.
Yeah, and you feel like you have that support.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, we have a good staff. A lot of them have been here. Tracy's been here 15 years. Lisa's been here probably 10. Many of them have been here 3-4 years.
Okay, so you decided to sell this year.
I did. I turned 53, and I wanted something more for myself. When you live above a home for the elderly and you are taking care of them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, it gets to be stressful.
Yeah.
And after 27 years, I thought, I think it's a little bit my turn, and I guess I'm not as effective of a delegator as I would like to be. So if my name is on the building, I couldn't see myself living somewhere else and owning it.
Yeah.
So what I did is I sold it. I live somewhere else, but now I get to work here every day.
So
it's kind of convoluted. People don't understand.
Yeah.
But for me, it makes perfect sense.
It was probably a little bit of a relief, right? To, maybe let go of a little bit of responsibility and not feel bad if you aren't here all
right.
I didn't realize that when first of all, I didn't realize you lived up here that whole time.
Yep.
And you worked here all day, every day. You never had a day off.
Well, I mean, with the kids, I took vacations,
yeah.
and the kids had soccer practice, and they did this, that, and the other thing, and so, I did have my time off, as you say, but the older I got, I lost my husband, and then my kids started dwindling to college, and I found myself up here alone, and that was hard. That was really hard. And I just felt like, I want a little bit of a turn, and so I'm going to back myself out a little. But the person that bought it, I just think the world of him, and he's allowed me to stay, and he says, just do what you would do normally. I don't need to reinvent the wheel. It's all here. Just do what you would do, and it's working.
Time for yourself. I mean, what have you found yourself? Have you found yourself doing anything that you normally wouldn't think of you would have done?
No, my life really hasn't changed, except I have my own home, and when I point my car out of this parking lot, I'm able to let it go. Where when you live here and there's an intercom, and there's always a little, hey, something's going on. Hey, it's impossible to separate.
Right.
And I would go to the movies, and I would be like, I gotta get home. It's been 3 hours. I don't know what's going on there. I gotta leave.
Yeah.
And when you get to that point, I think it's time for a healthy separation for me and them. I can be better when I'm happier and not stressed out.
Right.
And the nice part is now I have people that do all the work. I plan all the parties. I do all
the stuff you want to do. The
exactly.
Fun stuff.
Now I really am enjoying it more.
Sit there with them. You're not necessarily like working. You're just spending time. That's great.
Yep. Organizing the luau.
Yeah.
And, all the fun family socials we have every month.
Yeah. Did you find yourself before like just being down there from the minute you woke up to like the minute you went to bed? You were just constantly back and forth?
I was constantly up and down. If I wasn't driving a kid here or there, I was downstairs.
Yeah.
Yep. Or I was up here making something for them to have eat downstairs.
Yeah.
Every day was filled with how can I, make it better for them.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where you don't necessarily think about yourself.
Yeah.
I had a business that I had to make sure could support me and the kids after I lost my husband.
Yeah.
And so the really great thing about the Young Home is that it really supported 2 generations of women who lost their husbands early and was able to keep it together by taking care of old people.
That is sweet.
Yeah.
What have you learned anything from them, your residents, or is there anyone in particular that stands out, a story you have, or?
There's been many people that stand out. We took care of Mr. Walter Schofield, who Schofield Elementary School is named after. He was very old, and he used to tell me stories about when there was only 1 mile of paved road in Detroit, and it was Woodward.
Yeah.
I mean, just crazy. I mean, he went from that to men landing on the moon.
Yeah.
I mean, he must have just been astounded. And we've had all different kinds of people, and they've all had a great story in their own way.
Yeah.
And every time I go to one of their funerals, I learn even more about them, and I'm like, darn, I wish I knew that when they were here. I wish I could have talked to them about that.
Today you had one?
Yeah, today Walter died, and you probably know Walter.
He's with the very dark eyes?
He was the one that would walk around. He would sing and dance. He might, you might have noticed he had like a indentation in his head.
Yeah.
Yeah, he passed away last week. Yeah,
really?
with all his family here by his side. So it was.
So you guys, everyone knew that was happening?
For sure. When they start to get to the end of life, we call in hospice with the family. And our goal is to have them die here rather than leaving and going to a nursing home or a hospital. But everybody has to be on the same page. We have to agree that, okay, we're starting to see signs that things aren't going in a positive direction, and rather than sending them to a hospital to make them better, let's make them comfortable here toward the end.
How do you handle and deal with that?
I think my philosophy is they've run their race, and now it's just about being comfortable and peaceful and making it as good as I can for the family.
Yeah.
Because that person's going, but these people are still here, and trying to make them happy with the decisions that they make, and letting somebody die with dignity in their home, and this becomes their home. This is home for many.
Yeah. Do you think that the patient or the residents, do they know what's going on, or do you?
I think some do, but some don't.
Yeah.
I've had people that know up until the end, and then Walter was very confused. But in my heart, I hope he knew that his family was surrounding him, and I think on some level we all know when our family is around and there's love in the room, and it's time to go.
I know, even with my grandma, she has dementia, and it's like for a split second she knows, and then disappears.
Yeah, it might wander away.
It wanders, but when she looks at me when I walk in the room, I know she knows.
Yeah.
But I can't explain what happens. I don't know where it goes.
Yeah, it's sad. And we don't know on what level they really know.
Mhm.
But if there's a smidgen of something that knows, then I want to be the one to be good to them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I want for them to be happy. We had a resident who was very, very, very confused. And her family, her granddaughter was getting married, and her son was like, "Do I bring my mom to the wedding?" I said, "Do you want to?" And he said, "I would like to." And I said, "Well, then, I'll dress her up, I'll bring her. When she's
Aw.
had enough, I'll take her home." But I said, "Do you want her in a few of the photos?" And they were like, "Yeah." So I brought her, and she was a woman who liked to walk all the time.
Mhm.
But don't you know, for that wedding, she sat pretty still. And so for me, I choose to believe that on some level she knew what was going on,
Mhm.
that it was a sacred kind of ceremony, that she was there, and she was there for several hours, and when it was time for her to come back home, I brought her back home. And
Well-
so she got to be a part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are the things that make you stand out
Mhm.
from others, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It's just,
I think it's a philosophy.
mhm.
I think, maybe a lot of places think the residents are here for money and for
Mhm.
that, for the staff and blah, blah, blah. But for me, it's a total different mindset. You're paying me to take care of you, and I will do everything in my power to take care of you properly and make you happy and comfortable. And that's the way I train the staff too. They're not here for us. We're here for them.
Mhm.
And I think that might set us apart. But good providers would probably all say that.
Yeah, well, yeah, but I think I think just being around in the environment, that you guys are different and you stand out because you have that philosophy that you put the patients first or the residents first.
Always. Yeah. My mom and dad owned businesses from, the time I was knee high. So owning a business was natural for me.
Mhm.
I think this is a good business for someone who has a passion for people
Mhm.
and would like to see people happy and comfortable in their elder years. And it's a thriving business. And, with the population getting older, I think it's a business that's going to continue to grow.
Yeah.
And
There's a need for it always. Everyone grows old.
right.
Everyone eventually needs to be taken care of.
Right.
Um,
And that's probably a good thing to end on. You want people to take care of you the way you would want to be taken care of.
Yeah.
If I had gotten bigger, for me,
Mhm.
the quality would go down.
Yeah.
And that I couldn't live with. Like I said, my name is on the building, so I wanted to make sure that these 20, I don't know what happens to the other thousands
Yeah.
of old people in this world or neighborhood, but my 20 I got, and I'm going to make sure that.
So it's not about the money, obviously, right?
Well, I make a decent living.
Yeah.
I won't lie, but I
But you could.
keep it affordable. I mean, compared to a lot of
Right.
places out there, I penny pinch, and
But you could expand too
Oh,
if you
sure.
wanted.
Yep.
But you're purposely
20 was what I wanted
Yeah.
to stay at. I, own the lot next door. I could have built another 20 bed there. And I couldn't do it.
yeah.
20 was enough. It was a lot of work, and it was rewarding enough and challenging enough. And I made enough to, get my kids through college and
Yeah.
and take care of business and lead a simple but happy life.
Yeah.
And
So do you consider yourself, you're obviously happy
Mhm.
with what you're doing,
Mhm.
and has this brought in is this what makes you happy?
I think it is what makes me happy. And I think it wasn't really even until I sold it till I knew what made me most happy.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew I did this for a living. I knew I was pretty good at it, and I knew I made a decent living. And when I sold it, I thought, oh, I'm going to have to walk away. And I thought I was ready for that. I thought it would make me happier to be not here, or, to let it go.
Mhm.
But I found that I couldn't let it go. And the really nice thing was that the new owner embraced the idea of me staying.
Mhm.
And now I get to come here, do what I do what I love, and point myself away from it and let it go a little bit. So I have the best of everything.
Mhm.
It's just made my life even richer.
Mhm.
I think on some point I'm naturally positive, but I choose to be that way in addition.
Uh-huh.
And I haven't really had too much in my life that has been more than a cross that I could bear.
Mhm.
There are some things in your life that you're going to struggle. When my husband died, it was a struggle, but I knew I would survive.
Mhm.
I knew I could do this and be okay.
Mhm.
Um,
Those are choices that we make.
Those are choices, but not so much, because you have to go on.
Yeah.
But your outlook is, am I going to let this define me, or am I going to go on and be positive and be happy? And I just really don't see the point. I personally just never saw the point in being, negative and a downer.
Yeah.
What good does that do anybody?
I agree. I live my life in trying to be more positive, trying to be do things that I love, trying to live life with passion.
Uh-huh.
This is one of my passions. It's like talking to people like you. It like gives me an oomph and like just that motivation and a spark to, there's other people out there. There's other people out there like me that want to live their life positively.
And isn't it? It's almost self-fulfillingly great, isn't it? When you surround yourself with positive people, it enriches you, it enriches them.
Yeah. We feed off of each other. The energy raises, and
it raises everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just know that it'd be nice, and what I know that I would do for my kids is just accept whatever they want to do. And if you want to if you want to surround yourself with old people all day long, I mean, by all means do it. And if you want to be a farmer and like make, really not that good of a living, but you don't have to sit at a desk all day, like by all means do
I
it.
told my kids, I don't care what you want to be, but be the best you can be at it. If you want me to send you to clown college, no problem, but you better be a darn good clown. If somebody thinks clown, I want them to think of you, right? Oh, I know the clown, we have to call this person. That's what you have to be, because if you're the best at what you do, if you're passionate about what you do, you'll be successful.
So, thank you
so much. It sounds like you're doing a great job. You should be so proud of yourself.
I've come a long way.
For listening to that inner voice in you that said, I'm not going to accept what you say. I'm going to find my own way. And, you'll be successful.